My name is John Conway and I'm a functional lead here at PwC Canada. It is my pleasure today to walk you through a manifesting scenario where the receiver chooses to refuse the waste on a manifest and then initiates a new manifest with that waste that had just been refused. So as we go through the scenario, I will jump between representing the generator, the carrier, and the receiver of the waste being shipped. I will also be demonstrating the functionality of both the mobile application and the desktop application at different times. So to begin, we're logged in here as Carolyn Smith from Hughes and Hatcher Inc. Hughes and Hatcher Inc. has registered in the Hazardous Waste Program with a role as a generator. Carolyn is going to be the initiator of the manifest that we will be showcasing today and will list one of the facilities on her account as the generator of the waste. To initiate the new manifest, we select the New Manifest button. Our first step is to select the waste shipping facility or the generator of the waste. We can search for the facility by using any of the search terms as listed here. And I can start that search by clicking on the Enter Search Terms Here search box. And for this scenario, I'm going to search by the Ontario generator number. So I'll start typing that in now. Okay, so as expected, this has left us with one search result to select from, and I can review that information about that particular facility, such as the generator number, the company name, the facility name, and the facility location. When I'm happy with this facility that I'd like to select, I can click on the radio button here, and you'll see that the facility has been added to the selected facility table above. Once I'm happy with the facility I've selected, I can click on Save and Next to move on to the next stage. So as you can see by the chevrons at the top of the page here, we are on the carrier section. So here's where we can select the carrier of our waste. Again, we can find the right carrier by searching for one of these search terms as here, and we can enter that search term into this search terms box on this second table below. So let's say in this particular scenario, we know the ECA number associated with our carrier. So I'm going to start writing that in here. See, I don't even need to complete my search term, whereas I can see the result here for a carrier with the ECA number that I was about to search for here. So as with the generator, I can select my desired carrier by clicking on the radio button. Now at this point, we're actually being prompted to review the information of the carrier we've selected. As you'll see, some of the information on this pop-up has been pre-filled based upon the information that was already included on the carrier ECA. So we can use this information, or we can make changes if we so desire. Now the vehicle information and the driver information, these are both optional questions at this stage. So I'm going to leave those blank and click on Save. So we do have the option to select multiple carriers for our waste, if applicable, by searching for more carriers in exactly the same way that we just added the first. However, for this scenario, we're going to move forwards just to selecting an intended receiver. So I'll click on the Save and Next button. Okay. So as with before, you can see the chevrons at the top of the page now indicate we're on the intended receiver section. So the intended receiver can be searched for by using these terms above: ECA number, company name, receiving facility address, or the email for the intended receiver. So let's say for this particular scenario here, we know the facility address of our intended receiver. I can start typing that in here. And once more, before I've actually finished typing in my search, you can see the results have been populated for me. I can review the list of intended receiver in the search results by their ECA number, company name, a receiving facility address, or by the email. So much the same way as how we selected our generator and our carrier, I'm going to select the radio button here. You can see the intended receiver has been added to the selected intended receiver table above, and then I can click Save and Next to proceed. So we're now on the waste selection page. And here at the top of the page, I'm showing the details of the generator facility that I selected in step 1, and I can see all of the active waste streams that are associated with this facility in the table a little bit lower down on the page here. So I can search for the applicable waste streams for this manifest by searching for the search terms here, or I can choose to filter it by clicking on the Add Filters and filtering the list of available waste streams through these terms. So in this particular circumstance, there are actually only 2 waste streams to select from, so I don't actually need to refine this table any further. I can simply select the waste streams that I want by clicking on the plus icon on the left-hand side. So you can see this waste has now been added to the selected waste table above, where I can remove it if I want to make a change here. So for this particular scenario, we're going to include both of these waste streams on the manifest. So I'll select the plus icon next to the other waste stream, and you'll see now that both of these waste streams have been added to the selected waste table above. When I'm happy with the waste streams I've selected, I can click on Save and Next, and that'll take me to the next page in this process. So on this page here, I'm being prompted to enter in the waste shipping information for each of the waste streams that I just selected. At the top of each section is going to be a summary of the waste stream that I selected, and then further down the field, there's going to be some extra fields for me to fill out. Quick note that I don't need to fill out any of the fields marked as optional. And you can see this has been completed for both of the 2 waste streams that I selected. So for both of these waste streams, the UN number, the shipping name, the class, packing group, toxic by inhalation, and packaging code fields have already been entered by the generator when they created the waste stream in the registry. So although I have the option to edit this information if I so choose to do so, I can also choose to accept this information and move forwards. Now I'll just point out that if I do try to proceed past this page, by just clicking on the Save and Next at the bottom here, you can see that red text and red shading will indicate what fields I still have to complete. So for the first waste stream here, you can see that the quantity shipped and the quantity shipped units, both of those fields are still missing. So I'm going to enter in a quantity shipped here of 400, and then I'll select L for liters for the quantity shipped here. For the second waste stream, as I scroll down the page, for this one, I'm going to enter a quantity shipped of 100. And once more, I'll select liters. For scheduled shipment date, I can use the date picker here. I'll say the scheduled shipment date will be tomorrow, and the scheduled arrival date perhaps is the day after that. So for this particular scenario, I'm going to add in some special handling instructions, a 24-hour emergency contact number, and some of the optional TGG information as well. So for the special handling, maybe I'll select the As Follows button here, and you'll see a text box opens up to allow me to enter in some extra information about the special handling for this particular shipment. So I can put in some special instructions here, like so. I can also enter in the details of a 24-hour emergency contact number. Okay. So now that I'm happy with the shipping information on this page, I can click and Save on Next to proceed on to the review section of the manifest. So now we're on the manifest review page. And there's a couple of things that I would like to highlight here. First of all, the notification bar at the top of the page as indicating with a green check mark that all is good and I've included all of the required information. You note here on the right hand side that the status of this manifest is currently draft, which means that I as the initiator can make any changes that I need to. The tracking information section here will update as various parties to the manifest take their actions or make changes to the manifest. As you can see here, you can see when the manifest was initiated, by who, from what company, and the date and the time. Further down the page, I can access the Overview tab, which is open by default, or the Waste tab. On the Overview tab, we have information about the generator, the carrier, and the receiver. As you can see, I can click on the edit button here to go back and make any changes to any of these sections. If we just go back up to our Waste tab, the Waste tab is going to show us the shipping information and shipping details for this manifest, including any of the optional TDG information and the shipping information for each of the wastes which is listed on this manifest. Once more, I can click on Edit Shipping Information or Manage Waste to make any changes here. So going back to the top of the page, I do have the option here to click on Cancel Manifest if I've made an error and I want it removed from my account. Just a quick note that this is not going to be an option if the manifest has already been signed though. So once I'm ready to proceed, I can click on the Ready for Signatures button, which enables both the generator and the carrier to sign the manifest as well. So I'll click on Ready for Signatures. And when this page is reloaded, you'll note that the status has updated to awaiting signatures. So this means that we're waiting for both the generator and the carrier to sign for this manifest. Now, as my company is listed as the generator, I can actually sign this manifest as a generator by clicking on the Sign Manifest button here. So I should review the information included in this declaration before I check the checkmark here to agree to it, and then I'll click on Confirm. So the status is updated again, this time to say awaiting carrier signature, and you'll note that the tracking information has been updated to reflect when I signed the manifest as the generator. So let's jump into the mobile application now, and we'll demonstrate what a carrier using the mobile application might see at this point. So when I open up the manifest, when I open up the application, I can see a list of manifests that are associated with my account straight away, with the most recently created manifests actually at the top of the page. Of course, I can change this by clicking on the Sort By and adding new criteria to filter the list or sort the list of manifests that are displaying here. So the manifest that requires my attention right now is right at the top of the page with a status of awaiting carrier signature. And I can select the manifest simply by pressing on it. So I'm immediately being informed if I'm missing any information from the manifest by the notification bar. You could also see that there's a red dot here indicating that there is missing information here about the vehicle. In fact, if I do try and click on the Sign Manifest button at the bottom of the page here without completing that information, you'll see that it takes me right to the section that is still missing the information. So in this scenario, let's review the rest of the manifest information on the mobile device before entering in that vehicle information, which I'll come back to in a second. So I simply select the tab of the section that I wish to go to. So if I want to go to Overview, I'll just press on the Overview. And then exactly like the desktop application, I can see the tracking information at the top of the page here. And I can scroll down to see information about the generator, the carrier, and the receiver. Scrolling back up, clicking on the Waste tab, this is going to show me information with the shipment details and the waste shipping information for each of the waste streams on this particular manifest as well. So you'll see that the first waste stream has actually been expanded as indicated by this green accordion at the top of the page. If I press that once, you'll see that now both of these waste streams have been minimized into these neat compact accordions. So this is really useful when there are quite a significant amount of waste streams included on one manifest. To expand each of these waste streams, I can just press once on the accordion on the green bar, and you'll see that that waste stream information has been expanded for me. So now let's go to the missing section, the vehicle section, as indicated by this red circle on the top right. So I press vehicle once. The Vehicle tab is going to allow me to edit and enter details about myself as the carrier. So here I can adjust the contact details, or I can add in the vehicle information of the vehicle that will be transporting this waste. And that's what I'll go ahead and I'll do now. So to enter in the mandatory information here for the registration number for that vehicle, I just press in the box here, and here is where I can put in the registration plate details. To enter in the province or state, I'm just going to select the drop-down menu here, scroll and make my selection, for example, for Ontario. So when I'm happy with all of this information that's been entered, I can press the Sign Manifest green bar at the bottom of the page. I'll read through and then agree to this declaration by pressing the checkbox and then press Confirm. So I now see a confirmation that this has been signed successfully. If I close this pop-up here, you'll see that the manifest status has now been updated to in transit. And in this scenario, I would now be responsible for the transportation of this waste to its intended receiver. So let's fast forward and let's say that I've arrived at the receiving site. When I arrive at the receiver, or when this manifest has been dropped off, I can click on the Confirm Drop-Off button at the bottom of the page here on the mobile application, and then press Confirm. So the drop-off has been confirmed, and I can now close this pop-up. You'll note now that the manifest now has a status of awaiting receiver signature. So let's change over to the receiver screen and show what they would see at this point. So I'm now logged in as Lewis Langley from Hoyt & Co. And they're the receiver of this manifest. So we're going to open up the registry. And then from the dashboard here, I can click the manifest number here to actually open up the manifest. So the notification bar at this time at the top of the page, it's alerting me to the fact that there are wastes that I must review before signing the manifest, which we're going to get to in a second. But I do just want to point out the tracking information here that clearly shows how the generator signed, the carrier signed, and the carrier dropped off this particular manifest. So let's scroll down a little bit further and we'll have a look at the Overview tab. The Overview page is going to give me the same information as we saw earlier from the generator's perspective. We can see details about the generator, the carrier, and myself as the receiver of this particular waste. To review the information of the waste that were dropped off, I can press on the Waste tab. And each of the wastes is listed here. However, this time there is an orange hazard icon which indicates which of these wastes I've yet to make a decision on, an accept or a refuse decision. So in this particular scenario, let's say that I, as the receiver, I'm actually unable to accept this first waste here, the 121 alkaline waste heavy metals. Maybe that's because of a limited storage space or for whatever other reason that I may have. So I can indicate that I'm refusing a waste by clicking on the Refuse button here from the review page. You'll see this new modal appear that allows us to review the information about the waste we're refusing. And then at the top right of this modal here, you can see so far that we've actually only reviewed 0 out of the 2 total wastes on this particular manifest. So we'll keep track of our progress. So let's go ahead and we'll enter a refusal reason here. We'll select from the drop-down menu that we're unable to offload. So now when I press Save and Review Next, this is actually going to take me on to the next waste that I've yet to review, i.e. I need to indicate an accept or a refuse decision on. So for this scenario, I'll actually choose to accept this waste. So I acknowledge that I received the full amount that was listed as shipped by entering in a quantity received here that matches that of quantity shipped. I can do that very quickly by pressing the Copy Quantity Shipped link here, and you can see the same quantities have been copied below. I can also enter in a handling code here, select from the drop-down 01 Storage, and now I'll click on Save. So this is going to take us back to the review page now. So a quick note that the notification bar at the top of the page now says that the manifest is awaiting receiver signature because I've reviewed all of the wastes. So as a result, I have the option now to click on the Sign Manifest button here to add my signature as the receiver. But you'll also notice that there's a new notification panel here that indicates that some of the wastes on this particular manifest were refused by the receiver and gives an option to create a new manifest on which to include those refused wastes. Now this particular panel is going to be visible to any of the parties with access to the manifest. If I choose to click the New Manifest button, then a new modal appears informing me of how a new manifest will be created using data from the current manifest, and you can see what information will be copied across, indicated here. So I will demonstrate this functionality of creating a new manifest with the refused waste shortly, but for the purpose of this particular scenario, I'm going to move forwards with signing for this manifest as the receiver first. So I click on the Sign Manifest button here. Now note that no further changes can be made after this point, so I will need to make sure that everything is correct before checking the attestation checkbox here and then clicking on Confirm. Now this will update our manifest status to completed, partially refused. But once again, as you'll see here, we're reminded with this new modal, or this new pop-up, that after I've made this signature, that we should reroute the refused waste to a new destination. And it indicates all of the information that will be copied for me onto that new manifest. So this has been designed to make it extremely quick and with the fewest amount of clicks that are possible in order to reroute that refused waste. So let's go ahead and confirm this step of rerouting a refused waste. So essentially this is taking us back into the manifest initiation flow with certain fields and certain pieces of data already pre-filled from us. So as you'll see from the chevrons at the top of the page, we've been taken immediately to the third chevron, or the third section of this initiate manifest process, which is selecting the intended receiver. Now the generator, the carrier, and the intended receiver information from the previous manifest has already been automatically populated for us. However, if I scroll a little bit further down the page, you'll see that this checkbox here, this manifest includes waste previously refused by a receiver, has been checked for us. And here we can actually select the destination of this waste. We can either indicate that it's being forwarded to an alternate intended receiver. If I select this, you can see that we can select a new intended receiver by searching for a search term here. Alternatively, we can indicate that it is being returned to the generator by selecting the Return to Generator. So for this particular scenario, this is what we will do. We will return this waste to the generator. So by selecting this radio button here, you'll see that the table above has been updated to show a selected facility of the generator, the initial generator on the first manifest. So in this field down here, we can search for the manifest that had the refused waste on it initially. But because we selected to reroute the waste from that previous manifest review page, that manifest number has automatically been populated for us here. So of course, if we had been initiating a new manifest manually from the start, it's in this section here where we could search for and select any manifest that had that previously refused waste on. However, as I said, this has automatically been populated for us. So we also have some of the details of that selected refused manifest listed below here as well. As you can see, the status of that initial manifest is updated to completed, partially refused. So we'll continue through this manifest initiation process by clicking on Save and Next here. So you'll see here that we're on the waste information page. And you can see that the waste that we previously refused, the 121L alkaline waste heavy metals, has already been automatically added for us into the selected waste table page. And again, that's because we made that association with that previously refused manifest on that previous screen. So we really should only need to do a quick review of this information to confirm that it is correct before proceeding on to clicking Save and Next again. As with initiating that new manifest, we have the opportunity to review and also enter or edit the waste shipping information as well. So as with the other screens, this has already been pre-populated with information from that previously refused manifest. However, of course, we do need to define the quantity of the waste being shipped again, which I can enter here. And then we're going to enter in the new shipment dates. You'll note that the special handling instructions and the 24-hour number, these have both been preserved from that original refused manifest as well, so we can keep that information there. So we'll click on Save and Next to proceed again. So much the same as with our last initiation process, we can review the information on this page, and then we'll indicate Ready for Signatures to make it ready for signatures. So one key difference from when we initiated the net new manifest the first time around is that this time the intended receiver section here has been updated with this green shading box and indicates that it's been returned to the generator above, and it also lists the previously refused manifest number. So let's go ahead and we're going to sign in order to make this ready for signatures. So now that the manifest is awaiting signatures, we are going to need our generator and our carrier to sign for this manifest again. So we're going to go back to our generator screen. We'll go back to the dashboard here as our generator. You can see here we are that we're logged in as Carolyn Smith from Hughes and Hatcher Inc. again. So we'll have a look at the open manifest here on a dashboard. So you'll note here that our facility is still listed as the generator facility for this manifest, but the receiving site field here indicates that this manifest is being returned to the generator, which is of course myself. So I can click into this manifest here to review the details before adding in my signature. So I can review much the same way as before, the overview, as we just saw with our receiver. I can look at the intended receiver information and see there is a related manifest number. Now if I select this, I'll just copy this particular manifest number. I can always go back to the dashboard to find out the details of that previously refused manifest. Now that would be considered a closed manifest at this stage. So I'd first select the Closed Manifest tab, and then I can search for that particular manifest in here. There we go. I can see my manifest like so, and I can look at it to see some of the details of that previously refused manifest. Perhaps for this one, I can actually look at details of the waste on that initial manifest, and I can look at the details of the waste that was refused. I can see here, as indicated to say here, this particular waste was refused by the receiver, and I can read through and review the refusal reason. So anyway, if we go back to the dashboard here, I can jump into this new open manifest to review and sign. Or of course, I can use the sign action straight from the dashboard. So let's click on the sign manifest straight from the dashboard here. Now this modal that pops up here, this gives us a snapshot of the manifest that requires my signature. And this has been designed to allow for users to be able to provide a signature extremely quickly when a more thorough review of the manifest is perhaps not required. Of course, I can still access the full manifest itself by clicking on the View Full Manifest link at the top right here. So I'll review the information, I'll read through the declaration, check the checkbox, and then press Confirm to add my signature. The manifest is now going to update to awaiting carrier signature, as indicated here. And so it's up to the carrier to add their signature now. So last time we actually represented the carrier on the mobile application. But this time we're going to work through a scenario where the carrier is using the desktop application. And I'm doing this just to show the differences between the user interface on the mobile versus the desktop. So now let's have a look. I'm logged in as Jerry Morgan here from TT Transportation, and that's our listed carrier. So much the same way as we've seen for our other parties on the manifest, I can click on the manifest table and see the list of the manifests which requires the carrier's signature. So I can click through the manifest. So I'll skip through this fairly promptly, but as everything that has been copied from the previous manifest, there's really nothing new for me to enter, but I can review the information here of the generator, myself as the carrier, the intended receiver. And when I'm happy reviewing this, and maybe the waste information on the waste tab as well, I can click on Sign Manifest. Of course, I need to enter in some details about the vehicle. As you can see, this has already been pre-populated for me, again, once more from the previously refused manifest. So if this is still correct, I don't have anything else to add, I can certify, but I can also make some changes. Let's say, for example, if it is a different vehicle that will be doing the transportation this time, I can make that change here on this carrier screen. Then I can read through the declaration, check the checkbox, and then press confirm. So that's going to mean that this manifest is now in transit. And when it's actually arrived back to the generator facility, I can click on Complete Drop-Off here. Click on Confirm just to indicate that the drop-off has happened. Okay, so the status has updated to say returned. It's now awaiting the generator signature. And as you can see from our tracking information, the generator signed the manifest, the carrier signed for it, and then the carrier dropped it off at Hughes & Hatcher Inc., which, as we know, is our initial generator. So let's go back to our generator now to finalize this. So we'll just do a quick refresh of this page. And we'll see our manifest is listed here as returned, awaiting generator signature. So as our final step, I, as the generator, of course, I can review the manifest by clicking into the manifest number and reviewing all of that information again. However, because I just reviewed this when I added my signature as the generator already, I can click on Sign straight from the dashboard again. That's going to take us straight to the signature modal, like so. And then this modal is indicating that I'm accepting waste that was returned to me, as it was refused on a previous manifest. I can read through the declaration and, of course, the information about the manifest. Then I'll check the checkbox and then click on Confirm. This has now updated that particular manifest to a completed status, which is why it no longer appears under the Open Manifest tab. But if I click on the Close Manifest tab, we'll see this one at the top of the page, as indicated, being returned to the generator with a status of completed. So this now concludes the video demonstration of completing a manifest where the receiver made those changes to the waste and it was refused, and then that particular waste was returned on a new manifest. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope you have a great rest of the day. I look forward to speaking to you soon.